to take away from last night's game?
I mean, I think not great. I think, I think just the way it ended obviously was pretty, disappointing, and felt like we kind of just left Sammy out to dry there, last 5-10 minutes of the game. So, I think it's something that was addressed today, and we all feel obviously we need to be a lot better, and especially in tight games like that when the other team's playing with really good structure, just trying to find our way through that and not force too many things.
Sheldon said yesterday. Kind of, I guess, attack the net more and kind of get into those spots?
Yeah, I think attacking the net more and just having a little bit more of an inside presence, and not being too perimeter. I think especially when you play teams like this, and as you get into later in the season and playoffs, obviously teams play extremely tight, and so I think just making sure that we got guys that are in those areas, so when we do deliver pucks, that we got some numbers there, and maybe bang home some pucks and just kind of find the loose change there.
Feels like there's been different combinations every game. I'm just wondering how much you think that factors into the 5-4-1 record in March.
I think it could factor a little bit in, but I don't necessarily think it's a great excuse for obviously the way we've been playing. I think it's just been a little bit too much, highs and lows. I think we need to find a little bit more consistency in our game and throughout the game as well. Out there playing. So.
How do you balance the significance of the points that you're getting and the results, but also just trying to think about the bigger picture, and maybe some of the experimenting and learning is kind of part of that process so that you guys are optimized for the postseason?
Yeah, I think that's kind of the regular season is what it's for, is just making dialing in all of the key structure pieces and the way that we want to play that gives us the most success. So I think especially down this last stretch, obviously trying different things and different combinations and stuff like that, and I think eventually obviously we'll find our way. We have to, and no matter who you're playing with, obviously you just got to go out there and compete and do your job and to the best of your ability. So like I said, I think we just need to find some consistency throughout our game, and and just try to string a couple games together where it's consistent, we're structured, and playing on the offensive side of the puck as much as possible.
Sheldon pulls you and Mitch aside there at the end of practice. What's he looking for from you guys moving forward here?
Mark, that's none of your business, honestly.
I gotta ask.
I'll keep it between us,
right.
But yeah.
Okay. Sheldon said that you felt strongly about carrying on with Callie on a line. What's it mean that he there's that communication? He looks to you before he makes a change.
Yeah, I think it's been going pretty good with Callie. I think over the last couple of games, just he's an easy guy to play with, and I think we've developed some good chemistry. And I've just been enjoying playing with him. So obviously, just wanted to kind of see where that went. I think he's one guy that I haven't really spent too much time on a line with, other than maybe a couple preseason games and a couple shifts here and there. But yeah, I think just the way he plays the game, he's super smart. And like I said the other night, he's got an incredible release and just a smart player out there, and is responsible on both ends of the ice, and just an easy guy to play with.
Matthew Nyes is coming to the end of his NCAA season. I know he's leaned on you for advice in the past. He's had a great year. Are you intrigued to see what he might be able to bring to this team if he joins you guys down the stretch?
Yeah, of course. I think there's always that intrigue, right? When this time of year, and signing guys, and hoping that they can come in and obviously help out. So hopefully the year he's had here kind of gives him some confidence and coming in and finishing his season and seeing where that goes, and then obviously jumping in. It's quite a jump, but obviously he's a mature young guy, and we'll do everything we can to help him out and give him the best opportunity to succeed. So.
What went wrong last night? Where did that game get away from you guys?
Well, they defended extremely well, which is the strength of theirs. Obviously, I thought their goalie made some key saves. At times were a chance to extend our lead, grab hold of the game, and then, in the third, obviously, just not forcing the issue, especially we get back into it, and, understanding the way they're going to defend and clog the neutral zone in the middle of the ice, and how, especially this time of year, you're going to have to work to get the puck back in the offensive zone, and understanding where we're going to have to do that, and obviously earning those opportunities. So, and then obviously the job we have to do in front of our own net has to be better as well.
Sheldon mentioned it was disappointing that when you guys let things get away in the third, it kind of fell off. What do you feel like happened there? Just a momentary lapse from the group?
Yeah, I think just obviously you're down 2 or 3 goals, and we got obviously half a period to play, and trying to go out there and make something happen, get yourself back into the game, and I think how we need to generate in that instance, and then when it comes back the other way, just the way we got to fill the middle of the ice and how we have to defend our net has to be consistent and better than it was.
So there's been a lot of line shuffling in this month, a lot of new faces. How much do you feel like that's contributed to the 5-4-1 stretch here in March?
I think we have a great hockey team with a lot of depth, a lot of great pieces. We've added some great pieces. They fit in really well. So I don't think that necessarily has anything to do with our play. It's on us to adapt and to go out there and execute. And you're playing with good players. So on us to be better. And it's a great opportunity to have those different looks. Different combinations and whatnot, and building our game out and developing chemistry with everybody.
12 games left. You're facing some teams that are like the Islanders felt like they really needed that game. You're going down to Florida. They're desperate. I'm wondering what it's like having to bridge if like that sort of desperation gap where just the standings say it's more important for those teams.
Yeah, that's just the reality of the league and the game and this time of year. So we have to. I think most importantly, make sure we're worried about the way we have to prepare and the level we have to be at to go out there and execute and play. And there's a lot of teams in a lot of different situations. So I think most importantly, you take care of yourself and holding our standard to a certain level. And when you do that, the type of team we have, and I think the way we've built out our game throughout the year, more often than not, we're going to put ourselves in a good spot and get the result we need.
5 years later, they still remembered you here. I'm just wondering what this environment's like for you to play in. Does it change at all since obviously how crazy it was early on?
Well, more aware, or I've been through it a bunch of times now, so it is what it is. Obviously, spent a lot of time here, a lot of great memories. Enjoyed playing here, but obviously, I love being a Leaf and where I'm at now. So. It just is what it is. I don't play here anymore, so they're gonna make their feelings felt whenever necessary. Just my job to go out there and play well, and help our team get the result we want.
How did that game get away from you guys last night?
We just a couple bad bounces. I don't think we got to the net as much as we wanted to. We gotta have a quick memory and forget that. We got a game tomorrow.
What was your assessment of the hit with Nelson? It looked like he kind of turned last minute. Like, what was your assessment when you were kind of going in for that check there?
Yeah, I mean, I'm usually hard on the forecheck. I'm not looking to hurt anyone ever. He just, I went to push him into the boards and he just happened to get cut back and he may not have had. But I hope he's okay, and again, didn't mean to hurt him.
Is that what precipitated the fight with Martin later in the game, or how did that come about?
Yeah, it was more. He was asking me if I wanted to answer, and in the back of my head, I literally just coming back from a little head thing, so I wanted to be careful, but at the same time, I wanted to answer, and just kind of it's part of the game. And but again, for me, for going forward, I just wanted to make sure I was careful with that.
What do you appreciate? Like you answered. He got you down. Did you appreciate he let up there?
Oh, no, yeah. He's, best at what he does, and respect his game, and, class act for what he did.
What do you make of the look up the middle at practice? Like, I mean, you came in that spot, but you've been mostly on the wing. Like, what's that comfort level like being?
I'm very comfortable with that. I think I played my whole career either full or center, wing, and, it doesn't really... It's going to change my game. If anything, I'm just going to be a little more defensive in our zone, and make sure we're getting pucks out. But again, that doesn't affect me too much.
Is there a preference at all? I mean, like usually anyone can kind of play whatever, but I remember when Sheldon, like when you guys were acquired here, Sheldon talked about how like that depth at center was really important and something that you really can kind of bring.
Yeah.
In that regard.
Yeah, when you're center, when you're out there in the D zone, you take pride. You never want to get scored on. But when I'm center, I want to make sure I'm doing everything I can to keep pucks out of the net. And I might not be first on the forecheck, but I'll be the last one out of the zone, and just making sure everything's good there.
What's your sense of the group? The team is like you're locked into a standing spot pretty comfortable. You're facing a lot of teams that are desperate, it feels like, to make the playoffs coming up. You got Florida. How do you bridge that desperation gap?
I think it's good for our group. It's like playoff games, all these games. These guys that we're playing are all, like you said, fighting for a spot. And I think that's just helping us get ready for that first round. And, we're still trying to figure out things with lines, and there's been injuries, and we're just trying to figure things out. But, again, I think it's good for us just getting in that, playoff mindset.
How do you go about addressing what happened last night with the group today?
Just talking about how we need to. Like I said last night, to me the biggest issue in the game, first of all, was just our inability to generate sustained offense. We have basically an empty net taken away from us and a chance to make the goal, the game 2-0, and we get a breakaway in the second period, and we don't score on those. We get some great looks there, but we didn't get enough after that. And part of it is a credit to the Islanders, and a big part of it is us not utilizing all the puck time that we had to get to the net and to generate more looks and traffic and all those kind of things that the Islanders, the way that they're playing, especially when they have a lead, force you to do. So there's that piece, and then there's the other piece where we just make big mistakes and we give the game away. So you're talking about both of those kind of things, and then you're just moving on. I mean, we've done a lot of good things, including last night. I mean, our first period, with the exception of maybe the last 3 minutes, was excellent. I mean, as good as we've looked in a long while, and probably deserved to be up more than one. And we weren't. Let them hang around, and then, like I say, make mistakes, and it compounds. So, we just got to keep building on the good things that we've done, because we have done lots.
Is it just a back to basics approach in that regard, in terms of trying to get that kind of identity back from an offensive standpoint back?
Well, it's adapting to the game. I mean, each game is different. Islanders played different last night than we've seen from other teams. Way more pressure on the puck than we've seen from different teams. Yesterday's way more of a passive approach, and they just pack it in and protect their goalie, who happens to be elite. So you got to really find different ways to get in. We haven't faced that in a while, and I didn't like how we adjusted to it. We talked about it. We prepared for it, but it's something to go out and execute it, especially when it is far different than what you've seen from previous teams here in the last couple weeks, especially. So we just didn't adjust to that. But we just got to stay with our game. Like I said, that's probably the biggest takeaway is you play a great first period. You're in full control of the hockey game, and you can't sustain that and stay with it. So that's more of what it's about for me, is just be connected shift to shift and maintain it throughout the game.
Have you seen enough from John and Will that they've made some progress that you put them back together and feel like, okay, they'll be able to help themselves both get going?
Yeah, it's mainly Will. I mean, Will's the driver of things. He's the transporter of the puck. He was skating yesterday. That's Will. I thought he had a good game. He, like a lot of other guys, weren't able to make that next play or that next piece happen to get anything substantial offensively happening. But he was definitely skating to the neutral zone, had the puck a lot, got us to good spots, and that's what John requires of him. So from that end, it was positive. I thought John had a good game too. Spent a lot of time in the offensive zone, but again, nothing really to show for it. But I thought defensively didn't give up much and was in the offensive end good. So I think between Will and John both having positive games, I thought it's a good time to kind of get them back together.
What's Bobby McMahon's status?
Bobby aggravated his previous knee injury that he had. We aggravated that last night, so he's going to miss some time here. We don't know the extent of it quite yet, but he's going to head back to Toronto. Won't be available the rest of the trip.
I know it's a distant thing, but Nick Robertson back with you guys kind of skating. I know he's not in the short-term plans, but is that a positive sign that he's already back out there doing the thing and being back with the team?
It's great to see. It seems like he's responded well to surgery when I've bumped into him and we've chatted. He's got a long road ahead of him, and we just kind of went through this with Carl Dahlstrom, that you start feeling good, you get on the ice, but it is still a long road to get back to playing. But for him as a young, an important player for us, it's great to see him making progress and putting in the work and all those kind of things, which you never really question for a guy like him. He's so committed, and he's dealt with these types of situations before. He's had bad injuries that he's had to find his way back from, and in this case, he's going to have obviously a long period of time of training and such, and it's a guy that'll be an important player down the road for sure. We played some games recently here where, Carolina, for instance, I think we went back on one of the pre-scouts in the game against him, and you saw the impact he made in that game. You kind of forgotten, that he is a young player that was on the rise for us that had a tough injury to deal with here.
Been a lot of line changes, shuffling from game to game. I'm wondering what you think that impact has been, or what that's done to the team, if it contributes at all to some of the results we've seen.
Well, I don't think it has. First of all, in terms of the results we've seen, I don't know. In the last 2 weeks, we've beaten New Jersey, we've beaten Carolina, we've beaten Edmonton, we took Colorado to a shootout. So all the best teams in the league we've fared pretty well against in the last 2 weeks. So to overthink anything too much, I don't think would be appropriate. And again, we started the game last night. To me, an excellent first period. So I think it's a little bit too easy maybe to point to that. Individually, their players need to stay with their game. I don't think any of the changes that we've made are anything too foreign or uncommon. It's been really common line mates and certainly common pairs that we've gone with all the way through. So I don't think we can point to that too much. Certainly on defense, there's been some of that. But all this is essentially a byproduct of losing O'Reilly, and it's the reality that we're dealing with. But as I mentioned, I think we've rallied at different times to compete against the best teams in the league and find ways to win games. So to point to anything when maybe it doesn't go well would be letting us all off the hook too easily.
We pull Mitch and Auston aside there at the end of practice. Is that a usual check-in, or are you specifically looking for something from those guys moving forward here?
Well, I'm looking for lots from those guys moving forward, but obviously what we talk about will stay between us. But it's important that I do check in with them and talk to them about how they're feeling and what I'm seeing and what we need from them. Which certainly they're two vital pieces of our team, and we need them thriving and feeling good and all those kind of things. So I check in with those guys lots.
Does Brody factor back in for you guys tomorrow?
Yeah, I haven't talked to trainers, but that's the plan, is to get him a full practice today, and it seems like he's doing fine. So as long as that's the case, he'll be back in tomorrow.
And then without McMahon, do you go back to the 11 and 7, or do you?
We're gonna talk about it. We wanted to get through practice today. We weren't quite sure what McMahon's status was going to be, so we didn't necessarily adjust anything. We just wanted to go out and practice like this today, and we'll get on the plane and sort things out.